It's the third week of the Donald Trump presidency, and the administration's relationship status with the Fourth Estate, the news media, is in tatters. The core of the problem, a president who attacks media when they report things he doesn't like. Instead of saying he disagrees or is disappointed, he labels it fake news. And yet, the president's senior advisor told Jake Tapper yesterday she doesn't share that sentiment.
No, I don't think CNN is fake news. I think there are some reports everywhere, in print, on TV, on radio, in conversation, that are not well researched and are sometimes based on falsehoods. All the palace intrigue stories, I can't even tell you. Think about how small our staff was and how small our budget was for a presidential campaign.
Glenn? No, we've all done the palace intrigue stories. It's because there's palace intrigue, right?
Yes,
right.
It's a very small palace.
It is a very small palace.
And so there's a lot of intrigue. And I think also, I think the point that she made makes our point, and you've done some of this reporting too, we've all done this reporting, is the campaign mentality of this very small group of people does not translate well to running a government. And I think we had a story this week that illustrated that this is something they understand. We interviewed 40 to 50 people, my colleague Maggie Haberman and I, and there is finally an understanding that they are going to need to staff up and they're going to need to change their fundamental way of managing things. So I think actually Kellyanne articulated it very, very well. You can't transfer this kind of homemade operation to running the greatest country the world has ever
Sarah,
seen.
you were there from pretty much day one on the Trump campaign when it was a small band of brothers and maybe a sister, and now it's them trying to run a government.
It's them trying to run a government, and it's not people who were there with Donald Trump on day one. It's not people who were there with Donald Trump on day 365. A lot of these people came in very late in his process, very late in his campaign, and a lot of them sort of got plucked from different areas. They're not a cohesive group that knew each other really well, that worked together really well before, and they all have different strengths. But instead of trying to sort of coalesce and use those to put out, legislative priorities to get things done, there's still a lot of jockeying to sort of increase your power center. And I do think that when we look at how they change going forward, that's a reflection of Donald Trump. Donald Trump does not like to be embarrassed. He does not like to look bad on television. And the travel ban was a very dark moment for that administration.
And yet, going back to kind of, where we started this conversation about fake news and about trying to and feeling like you have to fact check the president of the United States for saying things that are just flat wrong. That's something else that Kellyanne Conway had to do with Jake Tapper yesterday, this time about what Donald Trump said about the murder rate.
I'd say that in a speech, and everybody was surprised because the press doesn't tell it like it is. It wasn't to their advantage to say that. But the murder rate is the highest it's been in, I guess, from 45 to 47 years.
To say that there was a spike in murder rates between 2014 and 2015 is true. To say we need to bring that down and we need to have law and order, all that fine. He said it's the highest murder rate in 47 years, and the media doesn't report it. And again, Kellyanne, the media doesn't report it because it's a lie.
I think he is relying upon data, perhaps, for a particular area. I don't know who gave him that data.
Yeah.
Okay, Kellyanne Conway, the fact that she decides to defend him because she believes in many of the causes that he believes in, but is the person who also agrees to go out and take the heat and take the questions on things that are frankly indefensible to try to come up with a way to answer it, because that is, I guess, her job.
I think this has a much different trajectory in month 6 than it does in week 3.
Meaning you think that the president's going to change, or that the people who are trying to defend him are going to say you're on your own?
Right now you have the Republicans in Congress, the House and the Senate, enough of the Republican establishment and enough of the American voters kind of saying, let's see what happens, let's see how this happens. You can talk about poll numbers and the president's historically, high unfavorability ratings and such, but still the infrastructure of Republicans and a good chunk of America wants to give him time for these things to play out. This gets much more difficult and complex after a number of kind of paths and momentums, go on for a long period of time, and maybe congressional Republicans lose patience. I think when it comes to the relationship with the media, there is the rhetoric and the optics, which are the president beating up on the veracity of the media, and then there is the day-to-day of what's happening, which is pool sprays, press briefings, a lot of access to have eyes on the president, and his desire to be able to communicate through that media to get his messages out very consistently. And this is a little bit of the dichotomy in where the rubber meets the road. You know, the reason that the American public is hearing these messages about how terrible the American press is because the American press is broadcasting and carrying the president's voice.
And you mentioned the media and things and other things that make Republicans uncomfortable. There's something that the president did this morning that is probably going to make and already making Republicans very uncomfortable, which is this happens when they get uncomfortable when he tweets about any business. This time he tweeted about his daughters. Here's what he said. My daughter Ivanka has been treated so unfairly by Nordstrom. She is a great person, always pushing me to do the right thing. Terrible. Now, as a daughter, I would hope that my father would defend me and would defend anything that I did. But if my father was president and this was sort of on the border, I'm not so sure.
Well, I mean, maybe she's okay with it. I mean, we don't know. But what he does with these businesses and the impact that a lot of, businesses love certainty. And when they're not sure when they wake up in the morning if their business is suddenly going to be in the line of fire on Donald Trump's tweets, that makes for a problematic situation if you're somebody who's, concerned about that business. The Nordstrom situation had to do with the fact that because people were boycotting Nordstrom, fewer people were buying the brand. They wound up discontinuing the line.
It's basic business, which Donald Trump should understand.
They were slashing prices 40%. In addition to that, this lawsuit that Melania Trump filed, they argue in there that she's losing potentially $150 million because she's now gained this new prominent position where she could have made money off of, accessories or jewelry or makeup lines because of allegations that were made by a newspaper. These things all do continue to raise the conflict of interest potential. And yes, undermining the press when they're putting out just straight facts is one way that you try to keep your message out there.
Okay, I'm going to put this on hold because I'm dying to know what's in each of your notebooks, some of the best in the business here. Up next, that's what's going to happen. These reporters are going to empty their notebooks, including one thing still looming large on President Trump's to-do list.
Dear Predictable, there's no other way to say this. It's over. I found a permanent escape from monotony. Together, we are perfectly balanced. Our senses awake. Our hearts racing as one. I know this is sudden, but they say if you love something, set it free. See you around, Julia.
You might take something for your heart, your joints, or your digestion. So why wouldn't you take something for the most important part of you, your brain? With an ingredient originally found in jellyfish, Prevagen is now the #1 selling brain health supplement in drugstores nationwide. Prevagen, the name to remember.
We approach life by simply enjoying it.
Boost Simply Complete. It's intelligent nutrition made with only 9 ingredients, plus 25 vitamins and minerals and 10 grams of protein.
And look where life can take you.
Boost. Be up for it.
It was getting to be a struggle to get in and out of the tub.
Yeah, we were really worried about falling.
And we needed a solution to stay safe in our own home.
So we got an American Standard walk-in bath.
American Standard is celebrating over 140 years in business with our best offer on our Liberation walk-in baths.
They have a lifetime warranty on the bath, the installation, including the labor. I've never heard of that before.
American Standard has the only walk-in bath with over 20 comfort and safety features, including an ultra-low entryway, 44 massaging jets to help relieve aches and pains, and our patented quick drain technology, which drains your bath in less than 2 minutes. Other brands can leave you sitting in the cold. So call now for your free information kit. For a limited time, get $1,500 in savings, including a free American Standard right height toilet.
Don't delay. Call 1-800-380-6201 for your free information kit. $1,500 in savings, including a free toilet. That's 1-800-380-6201.
Don't let a cracked windshield ruin your plans. Trust Safelite. With Safelite's exclusive On My Way text, you'll know exactly when we'll be there, giving you more time for what matters most.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace. Closed captioning brought to you by Mesobook.com.
We offer a free book on mesothelioma. Call for the free book and receive so much more.
Call 1-800-831-3700.
Tomorrow at 9, CNN's Van Jones, The Messy Truth.
It feels like the politics of a developing country.
With special guest comedian Bill Maher. And at 10, Free Speech. The premiere of this CNN original series, The History of Comedy, tomorrow on CNN.
As a guy, the problem with Valentine's Day is I don't know what to get her. So every year, it's flowers and chocolate. Adoreme.com is perfect. You get high-quality lingerie she's gonna love. The price is right, and you just order online. There's sexy stuff, cute stuff, with free shipping and free exchanges. You can't mess it up. Just go to Adoreme.com, pick out something she's gonna like, and your Valentine's Day shopping is done.
Get her something special this Valentine's Day. The first set is only $24.95 at Adoreme.com.
I promise, she's gonna love it.
We needed to hire someone, but it was really tough finding people that had the right experience.
I was spending half my day just reading resumes.
To hire great people, go to ZipRecruiter.com and post to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with one click. Then easily select the best candidates from one list.
I'm seeing a lot more candidates with the right experience.
We have gotten consistently better results from ZipRecruiter than anywhere else.
Over 1 million businesses have already used ZipRecruiter. Try it for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/newstv.
This is CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Let's head around the Inside Politics table and ask our reporters to get you out ahead of the big political news just around the corner. Glenn.
I think you have to look for the grown-ups table. I think Secretary of Defense Mattis, Tillerson at State, and Kelly at DHS are going to form their own little group and make decisions relatively independently of the White House.
That'll be interesting.
The White House has been very active, but one big thing that is missing is Donald Trump's legislative agenda. They insist they can do everything at once, but so far we haven't seen legislation on paying for a wall. We're not seeing legislation on Obamacare coming out of the White House. We're not even sure exactly what they want to put in a tax plan. It's still early. There's still time. Donald Trump is meeting with his Leg Affairs team today, but kind of a gaping hole in that agenda so far.
A lot of eyes on Japanese leader's visit in a couple of days, but there's another really important meeting that's being planned for behind the scenes, and that is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. A couple of things I have my eyes on are the huge profile that Iran is going to take, really eclipsing the Mideast peace debate that's gone on, and some questions about how Russia politics, Syria politics plays into that. So I think golf game and Abe aside, a lot of planning for that coming up.
No question.
You know, Donald Trump said, and I quote, if you look at what certain countries are doing to this country, I mean, they've totally taken advantage of this country. Could be Mexico, could be China. Nope, that was Japan in 1987 and 1988. Donald Trump, that was his whipping boy. It's like Mad Libs. Donald Trump may not change, but the target does.
And tends to be our friends. Mexico, Japan, and so forth. Okay, so because I'm a sub today, I'm going to install a new rule that hopefully that everybody will live by, which is if you're on the show and you were parodied by SNL, you get to sit through it and watch it, and we can all talk about it afterwards. Roll it.
Go, Glenn Thrush, New York Times, boo, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the travel ban on Muslims.
Yeah, it's not a ban.
I'm sorry?
It's not a ban. The travel ban is not a ban, which makes it not a ban.
But you just called it a ban.
Because I'm using your words. You said ban. You said ban. Now I'm saying it
The
back
president
to you.
tweeted, and I quote, if the ban were announced with a 1-week notice...
Yeah, exactly. You just said that.
Okay, you're way better looking. Can we all just say that?
Yes, absolutely.
I have to say that because he tweeted that, and I want to just reinforce that. Does that make you feel better?
That makes me feel a lot better.
Okay, good.
Now you said it in public.
You're welcome. Anything?
Your
Two
moment?
words?
It's like my bar mitzvah all over again.
Mazel tov. Thanks for watching Inside Politics. My colleague Wolf Blitzer is up right after a break.
People confuse nice and kind, but they're different. Nice tells you what you want to hear, but kind is honest. This bar is made with cranberries and almonds. So guess what? We call it Cranberry Almond. Give kind a try.
Got gas? Acid? Try Faison Gas and Acid. The strongest gas-fighting medicine with fast-acting heartburn relief you can get. All in one great-tasting chew. Maximum strength Phase-On gas and acid.
Introducing Cologuard.
I'm here for an important reason. Colon cancer screening. If you're age 50 or older and at average risk, Cologuard finds cancer and precancer. And it's a non-invasive test you can use at home. In fact, I'm as easy as get, go, gone. How do you get me? Your doctor orders me, and I'm delivered directly to your doorstep. There's no need for time off or special prep because I use the DNA in your stool to find colon cancer. Then you just go. I mean, collect your sample. Then I'm gone. Just ship me to the lab. Gotta go.
Cologuard is intended for individuals at average risk for colon cancer. Cologuard is not for high-risk individuals, including those with a history of colon cancer or polyps, IBD, certain hereditary cancer syndromes, or a family history of colon cancer. Cologuard, colon cancer screening that's as easy as get, go, gone. Ask your doctor if Cologuard is right for you.
Fun and art class. Come close, come close. I like that.
When your pain reliever stops working, your whole day stops.
Try this.
For minor arthritis pain, only Aleve is FDA approved to work for up to 12 straight hours with just one pill.
Thank you.
Aleve, live whole, not part.
Hi, I'm Barry Sloan with NewTek, your business solutions company. Does your business need money? Whether you need $10,000 or $10 million, you can count on NewTek, the nation's largest non-bank government-guaranteed lender. NewTek can help your business expand and grow. With a simple phone interview, we can pre-qualify you in just 48 hours. And with rates as low as 6%, you can see why so many businesses turn to NewTek. To see how easy getting a loan can be, contact NewTek, your business solutions company, today.
Are criminals and terrorists traveling the world undetected? Anderson Cooper 360 investigates the alleged sale of Venezuelan passports and visas. Who's buying these passports? And what did the government know? Tonight at 8 Eastern on CNN.
Every day I go to Zulily, I see new, fun, unique items. It's always like a little surprise. I can find such great pieces that I can't find anywhere else.
At Zulily.com, you'll find incredible deals every day on top name brands and boutique styles at up to 70% off.
Zulily is fantastic. You feel like you're getting a great deal and a great selection.
But hurry, Zulily deals are only available for a limited time, so don't miss out.
I know it's only there for a short period of time, so I want to jump on before it's gone.
Shop Zulily.com and save up to 70% off today.
Wow, Wayfair has everything.
Drop the mic. Everything I need? I'm done. Drop the mic.
Everything I need. Everything I like. Wayfair.
Drop the mic.
Everything home, all in one place. So get it done. Visit Wayfair.com today.
Funny, the premiere episode of The History of Comedy, tomorrow at 10.
Hello, I'm Wolf Blitzer. It's 1 p.m. here in Washington, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thanks very much for joining us. Right now, we're keeping an eye on two major stories developing this hour here in the United States. Take a look at this. Live pictures coming in from the White House briefing room where the press secretary, Sean Spicer, will be taking reporters' questions this hour. And from the U.S. Senate floor, where senators will decide later today on whether Senator Jeff Sessions should become the next Attorney General of the United States. They've been debating his nomination on the Senate floor for nearly 24 hours straight. Over at the White House, we expect to hear much more about the legal fight over the president's travel ban. The court's decision could come at any time. But as we heard from the president this morning, he thinks the decision is an easy one.